We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email john@nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices. I took what I had sworn. Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids.
Good evening, welcome along to a pre-recorded version of Geordies here, Geordies there on NUFC Matters. Delighted to see I'm joined by Steve, Alwaleed, Kevin and Stu. The pre-record means that the two Mitchell brothers, that's what they look like, are not available tonight. Mitch is busy and George is busy as well, so we wish them well. And just a quick shout out to the families of Kenny Ranson and Steve Wilkinson. Steve Hasty and I attended both funerals this week, both very, very well attended. Both representative of Newcastle United, it has to be said, with lots of fellow Newcastle fans attending both funerals. And great send-off for two guys who we will miss massively in the NUFC Matters community. Two really good humanist ceremonies, it has to be said, of different stamps, different styles, but both giving us, the colourful lives of two good friends, it has to be said. People who one who we've known a short period of time and one who we knew a long time. And both, as I say, will be sadly missed. And Steve, I mean, you were there with me. You were kind enough to take me along to both of those funerals. Fitting occasions for two great guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely families. Give their partners and fathers a wonderful send-off. It's quite a tribute to them to see, an absolutely packed crematorium on both occasions as well. It just shows you that the love that the guys had out there in the community. It's one of those things, but it wasn't. Although we can talk about sadness, it was, both ceremonies were very much reflection and of the joy that both lads have brought to their respective families and friends over the years, and that in itself said an awful lot for them. And I think, like everybody else, I think we've said it on a number of occasions, our heart goes out to the families. Things will get easier for them as the weeks and months go on, we know that, but we'll never forget those guys, and we know that the families won't either.
Yeah. Both of them went out to local hero as well, which was fitting. And sad couple of days for us, but hopefully, as I say, the family find peace. Both families find peace, and we'll wish them well. Okay, moving on. Steve, a weekend of Premier League results saw Newcastle slip a little bit further out of contention for European football next season. A 2-2 draw against Bournemouth. Not the end of the world. You think it was, the way that the meltdown took place again on social media. For me, it was a fair result. And you and I have seen each other this week and chewed the fat over this anyway. But, the viewers would like to hear your opinion, I guess, on what you felt about the game. I felt it was a game of two halves. I felt, the first half was very much Bournemouth's half. I thought that, they could have been 2-1 up. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be for Newcastle. Second half, I think we played a lot better. And unfortunately, the slip by Dubravka led to Solanke getting in. I think that changed the course of the game. I think if had that not happened, I think we probably would have seen a 0-0. I think both teams were very, very cagey defensively, trying to keep it tight, and I'm not sure we would have seen a goal had it not been for that mistake. We then got that ludicrous VAR delay, which led to a penalty, and rightly so. And then moving on from that, we ended up with ended up with a 2-2 draw. And Matt Ritchie, managing to grab a late equaliser, a very late equaliser, a super sub, as we used to call it back in the old days. Eddie Howe getting it right is what I would call it. Very little comment on that, and the fact that he made the sub at the right time and brought the right player on. But he certainly did. Had 2 bites at the cherry, second time put it across the line, and celebrated as only Matt Ritchie would against his former club by going absolutely mental and kicking the corner flag into the turf. But yeah, give us your views on the game, mate.
Yeah, I think rather like the previous home game, Steve. I think we started off rather slow. I thought that Bournemouth had done the homework on us. I thought that they went out with a game plan, and it worked for them. They pressed, they worked hard. They're no slouch, Bournemouth. I'll give them that. I think that obviously there's been some changes that have gone on. They've got a new manager in at the start of the season, and it's paid dividends for them because they're setting themselves into a nice little rhythm now. I thought from a Newcastle point of view, I thought that, again, Howe made some tactical changes. He moved Bruno back into the midfield, but played him a little bit more advanced. Miley, he played him further back, more in a central role. Now, we've spoken about this, Stephen. My theory is that Miley was there just to shut the game down, to win the ball and to hand it to Bruno, purely because Bruno is now, and has done for the last 3 games now, played with 9 points. 9 bookings rather, and we couldn't go into a game and risk him picking up another one. And I think it was tantamount to the fact that when the stats came out at the end of the game, Bruno was on 0 tackles. I think Bruno went out. Bruno was given the instruction: whatever you do not put in one of your rash tackles that can give the referee something to wave a yellow card at you for. I thought Miley had a very, very good game. I'm not going to go over the top on the lad. Everybody's raving about the fact that he put 6 tackles in a game. I mean, there was a time when 6 tackles would be in an average for a midfielder, but the way the game plays now, midfielders are frightened to stick their foot in. But you got to give it to the lad. I think, but for the injuries that we've had, I think the lad wouldn't have got a run in the team. And I think I mentioned that last week as well. So the position's his now for Eddie to ponder on and see when he gets his full team back, his full squad, what he does with Miley and how he slots him in. The previous week, I was thinking that Miley was probably in need of a little bit of a break, but there's nothing you can do when you haven't got anyone else to come in. And as for the error, it was a really poor back pass at that particular junction of the game by Botman in the first place. And it was unfortunate. And I think, as we said, Steve, the amount of water that was put on the pitch at half time, and the number of our players that were slipping and sliding all over the place, that leads to 2 questions. One, why are we putting so much water on the pitch at half time? And secondly, what sort of blades or studs are these lads wearing? Because there's obviously something going wrong. Because it seems to be a constant theme that we have players slipping and sliding all over that turf, both home and away, by the way, not necessarily just at home. It's something that's crept into the game recently, and I mean it's an important feature. The footwear that they're wearing, going out with the right studs, and being able to withstand. And let's face it, with a pass like that, Dubravka should have been able to clear that ball quite easily. He shouldn't have had his legs going from under him in the manner that they did. So I think Newcastle should be looking and should be talking to Adidas and Nike and who else the players are getting their boots from, and having a really good investigation of exactly why that footwear doesn't seem to suit St James's Park for a number of our players. And as for Matt Ritchie, well, yes, he came on. I don't know. I mean, perfectly honest, Steve, I don't know whether that was that really a decision that Howe made, because he thought that Richie had more chance of picking up a goal than anyone else. I think it was more luck than anything, more luck than good management. But you know what? You take your luck in the Premier League, especially in the 92nd minute, when the flag goes up and it's 10 minutes of added time. So all in all, we've got to be happy with a point. It's in a way, I suppose it's disappointing, but at the same time, we've got to look at the injuries that we've had, the way the squad's set up, the lack of an outlet ball to someone who can hold the ball up. Everything has to go over the top. It has to be running on. And that's the gap that's been created between the midfield and the strikers and the defence in the midfield. And we haven't got quite that together yet. It's more of it's certainly, I was going to say a work in progress, but it's more of a cobbled together formation that we're trying to produce, and it works. It worked great previous game. The adjustments that he made, but this time when he made them, because of the homework that Bournemouth had done, perhaps we struggled a little bit more. But we move on. We take. We've only got Arsenal next game, so there's nothing really to worry about.
Yes, good point. Al-Walid, good evening. Give us your views on that, on the 2-2 draw against Bournemouth. Well, in fact, because we haven't had a Geordies there for the last couple of weeks. I mean, I chucked this onto the fans forum last night. I made a point of this. If Newcastle had got 3 points against Luton and 3 points against Bournemouth, so the 2 home games, okay, and gone away to Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest and had 2 draws, would that have been better? Would we have been feeling better? Because we are unbeaten in 4 games. You know, the last 4 games, if you take it in blocks of 4, that would have been the same amount of points. Yet people would have said, well, you've gone to Aston Villa, they're up there, you've got a point. You've gone to Nottingham Forest, tough place to go, they're trying to stay up, you've got a point, but you've won both your home games. And you've improved your away form because you haven't lost the games. So it would. Can you see what I'm saying? It would be a lot different, wouldn't it? Maybe.
Of course, Steve. But it's we're always looking is this game is winnable game or not? Not about which team we play. I find it interesting that regardless Luton, we beat since the takeover. We beat all the teams in Premier League except 3 teams: Manchester City, Liverpool, and Bournemouth. For some reason, we couldn't beat Bournemouth in Premier League. So I think this team, I don't know, is it because Eddie Howe, the Bournemouth link, some kind of a challenge? But this is interesting. We beat Manchester City and Bournemouth in Carabao Cup. So this is, for me, it's kind of weird. Manchester City, Liverpool, and Bournemouth. So even when Newcastle in best condition, full of squad is full, no injuries, we also couldn't beat Bournemouth for some reason. But it's just a matter of time. We leave this season some conditions with the injuries and stuff. So I think this is just a matter of time. We need now. We lose many points, but when you see the table, still we can fight for at least the top 4. It's not impossible, but at least a European seat at the end of the season, of course, with great FA Cup as well.
Do you think that would be seen as disappointment by PIF if Newcastle failed to qualify for Europe this year after being in the Champions League last year?
No, of course not, because we know this is advanced achievement. We know where is our places. We know things going to be better. We're sure it's going to be better. So nothing to worry about. I think we are happy here, and of course we want better, more. But I believe this is just we are still building the team, so no worries at all.
Saudi Foundation Day this week. What does that mean, and what do you celebrate?
Yes, there is like 3 countries of Saudi Arabia, first, second, and the third. So this is the continuous of the third. century. It's been like three centuries of Saudi Foundation Day, with celebrating this day on Thursday, which is called Saudi Foundation Day.
Good stuff. I hope you have a good one, Al Walid. Stu, we obviously spoke on the professionals about the match. Feeling any better about it? Are you, now that the dust has settled, it's sometimes difficult to speak, after the event, straight after the event. What's your views now the dust settled?
I'll normally stand by what I said, whether it's right or wrong, but I'll tone the language down this time round. I get your question. I watched it last night regarding had we won the home games and drew the away games. And it does make sense. It's still 8 points whichever way you look at it. Yeah. And then they're unbeaten, so that you can always pick positives out of it. But the way this league is, 3 wins and a defeat would have been better, because we would have had 1 extra point. You know, so I think going into the games, taking on from what Walid was saying there about winnable games, I think before we went to Aston Villa, I think most fans would have said we'd be lucky to get something from this. And then you've got Luton, Forest and Bournemouth. These are games that, if we have ambitions of getting into the European places and climbing up the league higher again, these are the games that we should win, or on paper we should win. So I understand the frustration, but what I'll never do is condemn the team when they're trying, and they're all trying. We are limited. We don't want to keep banging on about injuries and this, that, and the other, but they are limited what we've got. My biggest gripe has been something that Kevin's mentioned a few times, is the midfield, how it's just a flat line and one pass can take it straight out. Yeah, it's the goalkeeper and the defence that are getting the blame constantly, where the ball has to come from somewhere. But taking a step back, and this is another defensive Dan Burn, whenever he gets beat for pace, that's it, get him out. And I think he should be rested. I really do, for his own mental state and for the benefit of the team currently. But remember when, just earlier this year, Gordon had Trent Alexander on toast, and there wasn't an overreaction from the Liverpool fans saying get him out, because he has different assets that benefit the team, just as Dan Burn has. Even St. Maximin last year, he skinned Kyle Walker, who's now all of a sudden touted as the best right back ever, which he's not. But Maxi had him on toast, didn't he, earlier last season? And you didn't have the Man City fans saying get them out. So it's the overreaction that I think annoys most fans. And thankfully, it seems to me, because I speak to a lot of friends back home who aren't on social media, it seems to be just confined to social media. And changing the subject slightly, I'll give you the best example of this is, it's not just social media, but the mainstream media and how they're now all instant recruiters to replace Dan Ashworth, who should get this. And what I've been reading on social media is he'll get the Bournemouth lad, because that's who Eddie Howe always gets people from Bournemouth. And can I just tell you something? Eddie Howe has signed 0 people, no one from Bournemouth. In 5 transfer windows, he's signed not 1 person from Bournemouth. So it's lazy because he was there. He inherited a couple of people from Bournemouth, and he brought some coaching staff that were with him at Bournemouth, but were no longer at Bournemouth. But he personally hasn't signed anyone from Bournemouth. But again, it's just the laziness, and it's a lack of fact checking that doesn't get pulled up on. And if you do question it, and all of a sudden it's a cesspit at times. So I've just now, during the week, I'll just stick photos of me walks in the morning on social media, and I'll talk about the football before the football and try not to comment afterwards when it's like that. But Newcastle they're probably at the bottom of an arc for how we'd like them to be after last season. So although they start the season slowly, it's understandable the teams we had, and then we had the excitement of the European thing, the Tonali ban. And just when it started looking like it was going to get picked up, it's knocked us down. But you're quite right, Steve. We're unbeaten in 4 games. And I know Steve Hasty says we'll go to Arsenal. But that should, for us, it is a free hit. And I know we shouldn't be talking about games like that, but it is a free hit. What do we do? Do we go and risk more players and get injured or suspended and then get beat? Or do we rest players and get beat and go for the cup game on the midweek? So whichever way it's going to happen anyhow, is going to get the blame for it, isn't he? So thankfully, he knows what he's doing. And I think we can go there because it's a free hit. You don't have 50-odd thousand of your own fans expecting wins. And sometimes we have become a bit too expectant. And I think you've mentioned that in the atmosphere of late at home as well. It's very easy to support someone when they're doing well, but when they really need help, that's when you show your true support. So going to Arsenal, who are flying at the moment, they're scoring goals for fun, we're conceding goals for fun. There should only be one outcome, shouldn't there? And that's when Newcastle United just, as I mentioned, the professionals, it was just like after they got beat at Hereford, they went to Man United and won, didn't they?
Yeah.
So support Newcastle for a long time. You never say never. They always do the unexpected. So we can dissect Saturday's game to pieces, but it's finished. It was 2-2. We didn't get beat. We showed a lot of courage to get back into a game maybe we shouldn't have been out of, but as the game played out, I think going into the last 10, 15 minutes, we would have took a draw. So credit to them, and hopefully people come back fitter and stronger in the coming weeks.
Kev, you were on the fans forum on Monday, so we got your opinion. A couple of days afterwards. I've seen a lot of people, and we talked about it on Talk of the Toon on Tuesday with Sid. A lot of people suggesting a formation change when we go to Arsenal. Is there a particular change in formation you would make as a coach? Is there looking at what we've done over the course of the last couple of weeks? I mean, it's easy for people to say, pick out Dan Burn and say, well, drop Dan Burn, but it's not as simple as that. So you've got to look at formations and stuff. Some people have suggested reverting to a 4-4-2. People have said play wing backs and go with 3 centre halves. What would your thinking be?
Again, for me, I would. I don't know, with the 3-5-2, I think Arsenal play 4-3-3, so you can go 3-4-3 and match up evenly in that sense. It all depends what they. I've looked at Arsenal and how they play, but it's quite methodical, essentially. But then it's the tiki-taka idea of playing in and around and then getting the ball wide to Saka and Martinelli and getting in from wide areas. So that's the thing. Do you play a 5? Do you play a Tino Livramento there to help burn out? Because I would keep him in. I'll just shift him along one. But it's come across as negative if you go that way in overloaded midfield. Well, actually, it could quite be the opposite and quite look at it as a positive, because then you have 2 more attacking. You have 2 more players further advanced in the attack. The bigger problem would be the top end. How do you derive that? Because again, I agree with Steve, with no entry ball into the final third, you're still going to play a bank of 5 with a 3, then a 1 and a 1. So you're playing like 6 in midfield, that's negative. That's Steve Bruce-esque negative. So and I agree with him, but at the same time, just thinking about the game against Bournemouth, if a false 9 drops in and you play 4-3-3 and a false 9 drops in, you've got to have movement off of him, and that kind of worked, but everybody then got lost and we're left space everywhere. So again, it's the better the devil you know. How do you go about it? But I would change it slightly. I would go to a 3. Do you play Fabi Shaw if he is available? Do you make him sit and just cover when we don't have the ball? He'll drop in again to make a 3 or 4. How does that work? There's multiple different variations of what you go to. Do you play a 4-2-3-1? There's millions of things you could do, or a 4-3-4-1-2. But then who do you play up top with Anthony Gordon? You play Miggy off of him, who I think after recent performances looks better once he drifts in and plays in behind and dribbles through the middle. That was never rhyming, but this came out that way. Sorry. That's why we bought him. That's when we've seen him at his best. I've seen him at his best in that 10. I've seen him at his best in, I think I was talking to my son about it, my wife, about when he played with Joseph Martinez. He made Joseph Martinez the player that he was, because he was the laziest centre forward I've ever seen in my life. Because he would just make a little run and Miggy would give him it, or drive through and pass it, whatever, score. And that's what we got him for. So again, it would be, do you fall on the sword and change the shape? Do you keep it as it is and again get exposed like we have been over the past few weeks against the even better side? Or do you stick by your guns and say to Dan Burn, you got to put a performance in here today. You got to not that he doesn't try, doesn't work hard. He's a 100%er, but are you going to actually give everything tactically what we're explaining you to do today? Not get isolated, not get lost. Can you have a better relationship with Sven Botman? Can you get somebody in or who to help cover you? Who's that player going to be? Is it going to be Sean Longstaff? Is he going to have more of a deeper role? Then there's the argument: do you play a 4-2-3-1, and then you can have two lying deep midfielders who can help out your fullback, and the number 10 who can drop in and be that third central midfielder. That's the question. That's the argument. Then you've still got then you revert to a 4-3-3, so it's quite fluid. But again, I'm not Eddie Howe. I could write down millions of different formations, different shapes, different organization of people. I mean, it's not Football Manager. It's not, all the rest of it. It's real life. It's business. It's winning football games, and that's why he makes big money. So, and I don't. But again,
for now.
Well, I haven't got that. Now, well, we'll see. I'm trying, but for me, I would just slightly tweak it. I think it's obvious what happens with Trippier going in. We'll play a 3. Well, obviously we don't because it's more of a 2 because Dan Burn gets lost. I think he needs a shackle on him to keep him in tight, the old school rope around your waist to keep everybody in shape. I think he needs something like a leash on him. So, because he just wanders. So it's a very difficult one. But I would just slightly tweak it in terms of 3-4-1-2 of some form of fashion. With obviously players coming back again, do you put square pegs in round holes, or you just go with what we've been going with, and really trust the players to execute what you've seen from an Arsenal analysis point of view, or what we can do, because I think we can go down to Arsenal and get something. To be perfectly honest, just something sits within me after recent results. Yes, we're unbeaten in 4. Let's go make it unbeaten in 5 with a win. And I totally agree with you. It could be 9 points, 8 points. Yes, it's relative, point to point, but that could be European position or not. But again, it's all conjecture. It is what it is. Now, the consistency thing is we're not losing. Yes, it might be up and down, peaks and troughs of how it happens, but the consistency is now we've got to go, okay, we drew against Bournemouth, and now can we go and get a win against Arsenal? Can we turn them draws into a win and be structurally solid and have a defensive shape and just play on the counter-attack? Because I don't think Arsenal like that. I think we'll go there to frustrate. I think we'll go there to be an annoyance and do what we normally do when we go down to play Arsenal and just go kick lumps. I would just go kick lumps out of them and see what we can get and do a smash and grab and get what you get. If we get a draw, we'll get a draw. If we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. But again, give something different that we've never seen before. And
just no kicking Bruno. Bruno, leave it out.
No, leave him alone. But you can kick out. You can go and kick Arteta as much as he wants. Or Jason Tyndall can do it. But again, I think we can go and get something in Arsenal. It's just like I said, there's just something sitting in me that we go and get a response and say, okay, 4 unbeaten, let's go 5 unbeaten, and go and get an actual victory and get a win.
Fingers crossed. Interesting. Yeah, no, a bit of food for thought. We'll have the ads. We'll come back after this. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. Go to their website, skipsandbins.com. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com or telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Easy contract free and pay as you go waste collection. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Go to their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Email info@mrvickies.co.uk or telephone 01768 210 102. Thanks to United Group Travel. Go to their website, unitedgrouptravel.com. Email info@unitedgrouptravel.com or phone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. They're a local company from Morpeth, and there are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. Big thanks to Media Arts for all the help with the video side of things. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button under the video. Click the thumb up to like the video and click share to share to your social media. If you want to help the channel financially, you can pay a one-off £25 fee. You get a cup, a scarf, a pen and a membership card and entry into the NUFC Matters monthly draw. Email john@nufcmatters.com for more details, or if you've got a smartphone, scan the QR code now and it takes you straight to the membership pack. We also support the food bank on this channel. Go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk and you'll find the matchday bucket. You can make a donation virtually today. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify and other podcast providers. We also do events during the year. NUFC Matters Live will be at the O2 City Hall on Friday the 2nd of August for an evening with Rob Lee, one night in Antwerp. Tickets start at £15 and you can get them from ticketmaster.co.uk. An evening with the entertainers takes place on Friday the 24th of January 2025 at the Tyne Theatre and Opera House in Newcastle. Telephone 0844 249 1000 or visit the website tynetheatreandoperahouse.uk to buy tickets today. You can also catch me on the North East Footy Breakfast Show live on Toon Radio weekdays 7 till 9 a.m. on DAB, smart speakers and the ToonUK.com. Don't forget as well the end of season party in aid of Dementia Matters. You'll have Super Mac and Gibbo live. We'll also have Ask George live as well. And a few other surprises. Stannington, the local band, will be performing as well. Tickets are available now from either nufcmatters.com or newcastlelegends.com. That's 20th of July, 5 o'clock until late. And tickets are £10. So get yourself onto the website and buy those today. Steve, before the break, you went, as if you'd had a bit of food for thought over what Kevin said there. So go on. I saw you furiously writing down stuff as well.
No, I just think it's fascinating. And I think we're all looking at formations and we're all looking at little tweaks and that. But a lot of the tweaks that Eddie could normally make, I think he's kind of hamstrung because of the lack of resources that he's got. I think that's the problem. And I think that the way that we have lined up for what now 2 seasons with Eddie is a 4-3-3, and I don't think he'll budge from that. It's how he positions that 3 in the midfield. It's how close that 3 in the midfield are to the back line and how much support they're encouraged to give to the front line. And as I said right at the beginning, without the target man, they're kind of encouraged to go forward that little bit more. You've seen goals from Longstaff. You've seen Miley picking up a goal. You've seen Bruno from the midfield, and yet defensively we've been all over the place because that commitment is, well, we've got to get up there to support Anthony Gordon. We've got to get up. Miggy's cutting inside all the time. Now he's got Barnes there. And also, I think that what you said about Dan Burn, I think Dan had a fairly decent game against Forest because he had someone that was working in front of him. And that was Bruno, and that little tweak that was made, and give Bruno that little bit of freedom, but it also give an outlet ball that you can always give the ball to Bruno. No matter where he is on the pitch, you know that the ball's going to stick to his foot. You know that he's going to get himself out of a hole. And I think that was advantageous to Dan Burn during that game. But when he's playing more in the central midfield, and, you know, he did have times where on Saturday where he was picking the ball up right on the edge of the box, and there was groans from the crowd when he did some sort of little bit of magic to get out of a gap, but that's what he can do. But that limits what's happening up front again. And we also have this ridiculous situation that George and I scream about constantly of when the opposition get a corner, we just pile into the box and everyone gets sucked into the box. And I've never understand why we don't have an outlet ball, or at least one outlet ball, if not 2, when we get that opportunity, because we're so quick at breaking. So it's little tweaks like that he could do that could damage Arsenal. But it's very much that horses for courses, and I just think the personnel that we've got has now limited Eddie to literally minute little tweaks that he can make. He can't do anything with formation.
I just jotted something down. So you can do an inverted 3. You can go the other way around.
Right.
And play 2 holding, and you can have Miley and Longstaff deeper. And then you can have Bruno as a 10 in support and just break the play up from that side and have a man-to-man against Declan Rice as Bruno that could do. And then you've got the other 3 to run up and down as Mickey or Harvey Barnes with Gordon, and in just to interchange the 3.
Yeah.
But they get lost, but that's here and there. But that you could just invert the triangle, the 3 in the midfield, rather than have 1 deep, because then you get isolated. If you have 2 and have pretty much a 6 defensively, then you can get help to fullbacks and things like that. Or then you can put Strip in there to make it a flat 3 with Bruno in front. So you go 3-3-1-3, whatever.
And that cuts off the balls that they try to play through the channels, through down Burn, splitting Botman and Burn, splitting Shaw and Trippier. And that's what those 2 can do if they sit there. But it's whether or not they've got it's what you lose offensively. And I think at the moment, I mean, everybody's going on about, Eddie suddenly created the new entertainers. We're scoring goals for fun, but we're leaking them. The entertainers didn't leak goals, if you remember. The entertainers had one particular season had the second best defense in the league, and Kevin got it right. He got it right with the personnel. He got it right with these formations. Kevin played a 4-4-2, however, religiously. And converted someone like a Peter Beardsley into playing in the midfield from playing up front. And look at the benefit that got, because he became suddenly your number 10. But he hasn't got the personnel. I think that's my worry. And the more the injury crisis continues and the lack of personnel, the more frustrated we're going to get.
Interesting. Albany, thoughts on formation? Would you like to see him change things? Would you like to see Dan Burn maybe rested, like Kev suggested?
Well, I like what Kevin says about to make Bruno number 10. But I am with side that I'm happy with Dan Burn, and it's not fair to put all the blame on him on some kind of mistake, as Eddie Howe says. I think we should give a chance for. We have strength of players in the right side. We can play Kieran Trippier. Livramento also can play in the middle, in the right midfielder, and also you can use Almiron as a striker and as a right winger. So I'm suggesting like 4-4-2 with some creativity, and make Almiron play 2 roles. So this will compensation for Eddie Howe. So as we play now without straight strikers, so Gordon can go deeper in the forward player, and also he can play in the wings. So there is many choices, but one of the things that I noticed that Eddie Howe so limited in creativity, I believe. Most of the opponents predict what Eddie Howe do for change if he have some kind of injuries. So I don't know when we're gonna see this kind of changing and creativity, and because Arsenal is a strong team, and to be honest, I like, as Kevin says, Bruno number 10, but I don't have that trust in Miley and staff to hold the defense midfielder. I don't think they can do that, really.
Okay, thoughts, Stu? It's always interesting to hear people's thoughts on formation. We don't often talk about it on here. I mean, you've already mentioned, resting Dan Burn, but what's your thoughts on maybe going with wing backs? If Eddie was to change it, not that we think he will, but if he was to change it, is there a better formation that you would think of if you had the opportunity?
Well, because this is pre-recorded, my first thought there is, because I tried to mute the camera when you do the ads and I couldn't. So when I went for a little walk, I come back in there, I looked like something from Stars in the Eyes coming from the curtain.
Oh, I could have took I nearly took the adverts off because that what the viewer doesn't know is that I can still see you. So yeah, I could have done the big reveal, but I didn't, mate. I protected your dignity.
No, they come back in. I thought, I hope that doesn't get seen. But anyway, I was listening intently to Kevin, his tactics, because he speaks a lot of sense. I'm more of, although I said I think he should rest Dan Burn, that doesn't mean I think he will. I think Dan Burn will play, but I think he'll play as part of a back 3/back 5. And the team itself will be, to me, I think you'll have an idea of who he'd like to play and how he'd like to play, but that could be dependent on Shaw's injury. How far down the road is Isak to play? If Isak plays, it can make us a lot more offensively, and he could then start having something like putting Gordon back on the wing and having Miggy on the other wing, simply because of his pace and his ability to get up and down, because they've got Martinelli and Saka and they're flying machines. And you start to fear for Saka against most left backs, not someone who's short of confidence at the moment. So I can see them playing Tino at left back to counteract that, and then moving Dan Burn into the middle. But you might have to move Dan Burn into the middle if Shaw's not fit. So it could be a 4 with Botman and Burn, or he could bring Lascelles in and play a 5 at the back, and then you can start playing the middle. What we haven't got in the midfield, and it's the one thing that we are lacking. We've got someone with untapped potential, huge amount of potential. We've got someone who will give his all for us. We've got someone with such a huge amount of talent, but none of them have got pace. And when we're defending against a team like Arsenal, and whether we like it or not, we'll be defending a lot more than we'll be attacking on Saturday night. It will be Sunday morning by the time it finishes over here. If you're going to have the breakaways and you've got Gordon and Miggy doubling up, who have you got up front? So if you're going to then leave Gordon up front for the breakaway, then you're going to have to bring Barnes in or Murphy in, and they're, although Murphy's more capable of getting back, but Barnes doesn't like to track back. He's more potent up front, but he's not a centre forward. So there's so many conundrums that it's going to cause, and it is, as Steve said, it's caused by the injuries. He hasn't got a full complement of squads of players to choose from. So you can say, right, for this game, this is how I'm going to play it, and this is why I'm going to play it. Any player worth his salt, even if they're not dropped, even if they are dropped or rested or left out for that particular game, will understand it. It's for the team. And then they'll go on to Blackburn. But I reckon if you ask most Newcastle fans, would you take getting beat on Saturday to winning away at Blackburn? I think you'd get 9 out of 10 saying yes. Not that I want to get beat, and I still think, but as same as Kev, for some quirk of fate, I can see us doing something there that's not expected. Like the last time we won there, I was in Las Vegas when Andy Carroll scored the header, and it was 5 o'clock in the morning or something. It was on, and we're doing cartwheels down the Bellagio, which was really well liked by the security staff at the time, if I recall rightly. But we could technically have a bench of Isak, Barnes, Willock, Murphy, Longstaff. That could actually be part of our bench. So that, for me, bodes well for the games coming forward. If we move past the Arsenal game, I know we've discussed this quite a lot over the last few weeks, there isn't many games there where you think, well, I don't think we could win that one. I think every game after Arsenal is more than winnable. And that includes Chelsea away, includes Tottenham at home. There's games there that are there for the taking. And as other teams are weakening, we'll be getting stronger. So ignoring what happens on Saturday, I think we should all give up trying to second guess anyhow. He'll tell you one thing and the opposite happens, doesn't it? So he's a master at it, and I think we should just trust him. He knows what he's doing to get the best out of the squad. He sees them every day. He knows who's firing on all cylinders. And even if on this Saturday they're not performing it might be the person who was due to replace them isn't performing during the week either. You know, so that's the manager's job. That's the coaching staff's job. But we're now 8th. We could be worst case scenario 10th. We could be back to 7th in the European places come Saturday night. So we've so much to play for, and let's get Saturday out of the way. win, lose, or draw, and just go out with Blackburn and win 3-1.
Good stuff. Love the confidence, Kev. I mean, Stu just mentioned there about the Arsenal game and then the Blackburn game. Which would you say is more important? Is it important to go to Arsenal and get something, or is the FA Cup the most important game?
Both. All games are important in my world. It's the Eddie Howe comment. The next game's the most important one. We'll worry about Blackburn on Saturday night once that final whistle blows, and we'll move on. Whatever the outcome is, that's the outcome, and that's reality. Then we'll go to Blackburn, and I think we'll probably win comfortably quite down there, because I think they're in a bit of a poor run of form. Not that I watch Championship football that much, but at the same time, table never lies. But I think, I think the Arsenal one's the most important one right now. I would need. Well, we would love a run in the cup, but at the same time, you got to look after your bread and butter, and that's your Premier League, and that's getting as high up as we possibly can. So yeah, for me, Arsenal first, then we'll move on to Blackburn. Then Blackburn will be the most important game, which is the next fixture. Then the next one, then the next one. That's what I said right at the start, is your consistency. You have to build consistency. Yes, wins breeds confidence, but we'll have to be consistent of a mental approach of what's next, not looking too far advanced in the future. We can't do that. We can't see the future. We don't know what's going to even happen tomorrow. So it's for me, it's Arsenal. But you've got one eye on it. As a coach, you always have that. That's just innate in you. You have to pre-plan and looking in advance, and you have to temper that down to the players. Say, no, this is the next game. This is what happened now, versus being in the present versus being in the future.
Al-Walid, come to you, mate. Just on the Arsenal game, give us a prediction. I know Stu. Are you going 3-1?
No, I think my heart says we'll win 2-0, just because it's a replication of the game I mentioned when Newcastle went to Man United after the Hereford beating in 72. And my heart says 2-0, but realistically, I think we'll get beat 3-0.
Kev, what's your prediction
for this weekend?
For the Arsenal game, yeah.
Oh, from what I've said, we'll sneak a 1-0 win in the 85th minute.
Okay.
Just because I'll not be able to see, because I'm working, I'll not be able to watch it, so I can't go through it.
With a controversial VAR decision chucked in as well.
Absolutely, why not? Just for the giggle, and watch Arteta do his nut on the sideline just for good measure.
Al-Walid, thoughts on the game against Arsenal? How do you think we'll do, and what would your prediction be?
0-0.
A 0-0. Okay. Steve will get yours on Friday, of course, with the amigos. I'll finish off with this tonight. The goalkeeping position, Loris Karius has sat very patiently since the Carabao Cup final. Martin Dubravka pulled off 2 cracking saves, it has to be said, against Bournemouth to stop Solanke, but then due to the pitch being watered that we mentioned at the top of the show, made a slip and conceded. He's conceded a lot of goals since he came in. Can't all be down to him. Some of them are, though, it has to be said. Is the Arsenal game time to give Karius a chance? Some people are saying that Karius should be given a chance, and some people are laying the blame at Dubravka's door as opposed to Burns' door. Would you mess around with the goalkeeper again after the defenders have just got used to one? There does seem to be a bit of finger pointing from certain defenders with Dubravka as well.
No, I wouldn't, Steve. I think the goalkeeping position is such an important position in the team. And to bring a goalkeeper in just because there's a clamour from certain sections of the fan base, I don't think is right, and I think you can't blame Dubravka. It's a collective. I think Eddie's also one of those players, one of those managers, and I think he's done exactly the same with Dan Burn. You win as a collective, you lose as a collective. Individual errors, well, that's what football is. That's one of the risks that you take. A player slipping, a dodgy back pass, being out of position at a particular time. and in the Premier League you get punished. But I don't think you can then have that reaction that some managers might to go for. Mourinho would be one of those managers that would scream and shout and probably substitute a goalkeeper during a game. Probably substitute 3 or 4 after every mistake. He's that sort of manager. Eddie Howe's not. Eddie Howe, for one thing, is very, very loyal to his squad. Maybe sometimes too loyal, because. But there's also the situation with, because of the injuries, he hasn't got that ability, which was something that Kev was going to touch on. When it comes to looking ahead to games, it's something that Eddie can't do. He can't look ahead and think, well, in 3 games' time, I'm going to take Bruno out because he needs a bit of a rest, or not worrying about necessarily the booking, but just, he's played every single game. So I think he would benefit from a break, and this is the particular break, and let him go away for have a little sabbatical or something, which is what used to happen with top players when you've got a huge squad of quality and they're all itching for a game. You can chop and change to suit. Newcastle United can't do that at the moment. Eddie Howe can't do that at the moment, and he certainly can't do it, I don't think, with his goalkeeping.
No, I'm going to go to Kev next, because Kev's got he's looking after his kids, and I can see the old the fatherly finger going up to his mouth to tell the kids to be quiet. So, Kev, change your goalkeeper. Would you do it, or are we going to stick with Dubravka until Nick Pope comes back in March?
I would keep him in against Arsenal, but I would probably make a change against Blackburn.
Okay.
I would just give him a run out in the the good old run out in between the sticks in the FA Cup. Because again, like I agree with Steve, we can't pre-plan with, we could pick up a whole host of injuries again against Arsenal. There's no foresight in that. But however, the recovery rates of other players could be, we've got players back for Arsenal, but might be an opportunity for those to get minutes in legs against Blackburn. So again, that's the juggling act that Eddie Howe has to do. But I would stick with Martin Dubravka. Well, unfortunately for me, because I've got a lot of opinions about it. So I would play him, but I would maybe just put him on the bench for Blackburn and play Karius just to give him a bit of a run out.
Okay, great stuff, Kev. I'm going to let you go because you've got the kids tonight. Thanks very much as always. We'll see you on the fans forum on Monday. Take care, mate.
All right, cheers, lads. Have a good one.
Great, thanks to have Kev on. Stu, just your thoughts on the goalkeeping situation?
Well, I've seen Karius play twice, and so has Mr. Hasty. Seen him at Wembley, and we've seen him at Riyadh, and I think he played well in both games. But I wouldn't put him in the goal against Arsenal. Most footballers play on confidence, but as we all know, goalkeepers are a different breed. And for a short-term gain, would have a huge long-term loss with Dubravka if he got dropped. I don't think he's merited being dropped. He brings different style to the game, to his game than what Pope's got. But it wasn't that long ago Pope was getting hammered as well, wasn't it? So it's one of those things. I think Dubravka's he's more than competent, but I think he's a very good number 2. So when the number 1's not playing, the number 2 should play. And I've got no doubt in my mind at all that Dubravka will be playing on Saturday. So I wouldn't. No.
Are you saving Karius for that FA Cup final against Liverpool when he can shove one up Jurgen Klopp?
He'll save a penalty against Klopp's, and he'll get full redemption, and we'll beat them for Klopp's last game. That would just be abysmal.
Stop them winning the double. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Al-Walid, goalkeeper situation. We'll give the final word on Geordies here. Geordies, there to you. What would you do with the goalkeeping situation? Would you drop Martin Dubravka in the next 2 games and give Karius an opportunity, or would you wait until Nick Pope comes back?
Well, it's not fair for Dubravka to be out because any simple mistake, and not fair as well to play Karius after 1 year in such important game against Arsenal. So I think it should be better rotation, but not depend on mistakes.
Okay, I would stick with Dubravka at the moment. I've got to be honest. It's been a big upheaval, so I would keep Dubravka in net until Nick Pope comes back, which shouldn't be too long, all being well. Great show tonight, lads. Not many of us, but a great show. And we will have a full contingent back next week. I'm back 6 o'clock Thursday with Supermac and Gibbo, and then the Amigos on Friday at 5 o'clock. Thanks to Owley, thanks to Stu, thanks to Kev, thanks to Steve Hasty. Thanks to you for watching. Take care. See you, lads.
Good night, everyone. Cheers.
Good night.